guys, it is Alison Creamer here, of course, with Conversations with Creamer, and we have our guest today is a local photographer. One of my social media buddies, Naoma Dorguzzi, recently posted some absolutely stunning photos that he took for her, and so she felt like he would be a great person on our blog to kind of get to know, and so who am I with?
Good morning, Alison. My name is Mark Knopp. I am a local Virginia Beach-based photographer.
That's why I didn't say your last name.
That's exactly right. Everyone has their own versions, and I answer to all of them, including "Hey You." So
there you go.
But thank you so much for having me here this morning. It's a great pleasure.
So you're, how long have you been in the photography business, we'll say? I mean, was this something that you started with as a child or in school?
Well, officially I've been in it for 30 years now. But
you don't look old enough to be 30.
I've been told I have a baby face, yes.
Yes.
But I actually started when I was 8 years old. My parents gave me a Polaroid camera for my 8th Christmas. And I took to that like a fish out of water. And it was ever since that point forward that I knew that I was going to be photography of some kind. I went through high school. I took a photography course, and it was in the wet darkroom where we were doing a demo on how to print. And I saw a print come up in the chemicals that just absolutely, something snapped, and I said, this is it. This is my life. And it's never been anything ever since. It's always been photography.
So you just knew. You knew that was. So is it the creation of the product? Is it the technology, like, you know, the printing, or is it you just really like to see that instant, you know, especially when you can process them yourself. Right. You get that instant gratification.
Right. Everything about it sang to me on a whole new level. That just everything appealed to me. The technical side, absolutely. I had a nickname in college being Mr. Technical. I would spend hours in the darkroom getting everything just right. But it's also the artistic side, bringing out visions and seeing something that everyone else passes on a daily basis, but you stop and capture it in such a way that make people go, wow, I never saw that before.
Yeah. It's kind of like when we take photos of bathrooms and realize the toilet seat was up.
Those moments are those, oh, goodness moments. Like, oh, well, I got to go back.
Exactly.
Yes.
It is. You're right, though. That a good photographer can see things almost as if it's in a photograph already. They just can recognize some of those tiny details that make a photo pop. I mean, that in itself that's something that you can't learn, really. You can get your 2/3 photo or your positioning and stuff, but you just can't you can't learn how to, your mind's eye.
Well, we could I'm a teacher. I'm a college professor of photography. We could teach you the technical and the how-to, but the drive, the artistic drive, has to be in the person. And that I tell my students all the time, our job is to find the mundane and show the world that it's not mundane, that this is something special. Everything is special, given the right moment.
So what is your favorite style of photography? What would you say? Do you have a signature, or is it just one comes up that you just really enjoy the most?
Well, I'm a portrait photographer because I really enjoy the interaction of the photographer and the person that I'm working with. There's an interaction between the two of us that always elevates the game and always makes me work at a higher level. I do landscapes and I do everything else, but the portraits have always been the main draw since day one.
What's the human side of it? It
is, absolutely. Yeah. It's again, capturing the beauty that is everywhere, and that goes for people. There's just been a connection with that it's been there from the beginning, and that's what I truly appreciate about it.
So you've probably honed your skills on getting people to be comfortable behind the camera. That's an art in itself as well. Yeah,
that's an art form in itself, in that as soon as we're having a conversation right now and you're all nice and relaxed, but as soon as I pull a camera, the shoulders go up and things get a little bit more stiff and you become a little bit more formal. And it's a learning process to get someone to actually just relax and be themselves. And that's actually one of the important tenets of my career, is to capture people being themselves. You be you. Yeah. Not something where I see you and I want to morph you into something I think you should be. I want to capture you being you. The fun, the intimacy, the laughter, the seriousness. You be you. That's my whole drive.
So I noticed with my girlfriend, with Naoma, you had some beautiful black and whites. You had some color. Is there a style that you think just lends itself well to portrait photography, or something that you could tell me a little bit more about, especially when you make a decision to go black and white or go color. Is that just a preference?
Well, certain scenes direct that thing. Like if there's a glorious sunrise or sunset in the background, then we tend to lean towards color. But if the black and white, I'm a black and white person since the darkroom days. There's always been a thing about that. And I always process the image twice, once in a color, once in a black and white. And then I make the choice then based on that. And a lot of times I actually send both to the person and they could decide which ones they like. Because again, it's not about me making choices, it's about giving the person what they're looking for and they can make the choices. But it's certain scenes, certain styles, certain expressions do call for a little bit more artistic black and white, but some are just so vibrant and fun that you just have to have them in color.
Yeah, the color is what makes the photo pop.
Yep.
So you said you were an educator as well. So do you teach photography?
I do. I've been a photography teacher at local colleges since 2008. So this is my 9th year of teaching. Currently, I'm right here in Virginia Beach at a 4-year school, the Art Institute of Virginia Beach. I've been there since 2011. It was one of those decisions off of the main thing of I have such a drive and such a passion for this. I want to inspire others to develop their spark into a flame of a desire and become better photographers themselves. So that's led me down to the path of becoming an educator.
So what is your youngest student? How young is too young to start teaching photography?
No such thing. No such thing. Today's technology, including cell phones, with their cameras built in, I have a 4-year-old niece who knows how to use a cell phone. So to have them take that, I've actually started helping her, and I've gotten emails about people asking about can we start my child, or they have an interest and stuff like that. No such thing as too young, and no such thing as too old.
Well, I would think it's just a natural progression, but these children are much smaller. Their eyes see things at completely different angles. So if you could really develop a child even at a young age, mm-hmm. they're going to get a whole different picture than somebody who's 6 foot tall.
Exactly. It's just like learning a language. You always want to get them when they're young, and they to start developing that language at a much earlier time, and then they become such a better speaker of that language as they grow up. As a matter of fact, a lot of the times during my sessions, I'm 6'4". So I spend a lot of time sitting down on the ground just to specifically get that perspective of making them look taller and more substantial in the image, but also I teach my students that when they're taking pictures to lay down on the ground and shoot across and change their point of view, because everyone sees the world from about 5'6" to 6 foot in a horizontal perspective. And as a photographer, we don't want to show them the world as they see it. We want to show them the world as we see it.
That is a really great tip.
Thank you. Sit down, lay down, stand over the top, shoot up, shoot down, try different things, vertical, horizontal, change your point of view, change how you see the world.
That is a really good tip. I mean, if I didn't get anything out of all of this, that right there
you go.
was nugget number 1. So let's see. You're an educator. You've been in this about 30 years, and you are for hire.
I am.
As well. You are for hire. That's how Naomi. How did you meet? How did that connection start?
Well, we've been friends, chatting at various times through social media and things like that. She had gone through a change in her life, and she reached out to me to say she wanted something to celebrate the change, to signify a next step in the process. Yeah. So she reached out to do a photo session, and which I totally agreed to, and we went from there.
Yeah, I love that point. I mean, some people think about photography, they're always snapping photos on their cell phone, but to really capture maybe a new chapter in life, even, I know this sounds terrible, but like towards the end of the life, the beginning of life, mm-hmm. a new marriage, children, just all of those monumental things. And I struggle personally too, because I look at my camera, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can take all these great photos, but the reality is I've never had more beautiful photos that capture the essence of what we were trying to do without hiring a photographer. I think just like with our job, people said, oh, the internet and the technology is going to kill the real estate agent or the photographer. But the reality is you cannot.
No.
I mean, you might get a great shot here and there, but for a true capturing that whole moment, a good photographer can do that.
Right. That we call those landmark moments, where there's points in time in your life where there's some significant event, and we call those landmark moments. And to have a photographer for those moments adds a little bit more to the experience, but also has a memento. Now you can walk away having that picture of that moment with you forever. And I always hear the conversation about, well, photography's dying, and I don't see that at all. Case in point is an absolute true tragedy of what's going on in California. But when you hear people talk about their loss, they've lost their homes, they've lost all these things, but the one thing they always talk about is, I lost my photos.
Yeah.
Photos are still absolutely key to our existence. They are proof that we've been here and that we've lived.
Well, they invoke the feelings and the emotions,
and they bring you right
time.
back to that moment.
Yeah.
And that's one of the important things. And yes, there's been significant changes. Digital is supposed to be the death of film. Film's still here. Video is supposed to be death of pictures. Still, photos are still the most important thing. So I never see photography going away.
And I'm a photo hoarder. Like, I probably have, 5,000 photos from the first year of my daughter's life, and probably 2,000 of them are identical because I don't want to delete. I don't want to delete 1 nanosecond of her existence, because I cherish those. Even if they all look identical, they all look different to me.
Exactly. And down the road, when it comes time, she'll have those photos too.
Yeah.
So she obviously she doesn't remember those moments, but she has pictures of those moments,
Yeah.
and that's vital. But let me ask you a question. Out of those thousands of photos, how many did you get printed?
Maybe 100.
A lot of people. That's one of the things I do promote is people need prints.
Yeah.
So many people have digital files on computers, and that's wonderful and that's great. But there's still something magical about having a print.
Well, wait a
of the
minute.
wall.
I do have 5 years each month, every month, 60 photos. So I have 30 volumes from a company called Chatbooks.
Yep. Okay.
From the day that we started fertility treatments all the way up till now. And so I guess I have printed them, but you're right. I cherish those, and I actually look at those more than I look at the ones that are online.
Exactly, and in today's world of privacy and everything like that, everyone's concerned about having the images on the internet. And my response back is, get a book done. You have something concrete and physical to hold and to open and to cherish that'll never be on the internet. But now you have something concrete and finished that says this is legit, and I promote that hard. Get the prints done.
So take pictures at different angles and get them printed.
Get them printed.
Enjoy. Yeah.
Put them on the walls. How many people have photos on the walls? I mean,
my house is loaded with photos. So we did mention that you are for hire.
Yes.
And so in the show notes, we're going to have your contact information and things like that. But when somebody hires you, what can they expect? What's a typical session with you?
Well, however way they contact me, the initial contact's made, and then we chat as much as possible over the phone or online, but I really enjoy meeting face-to-face. Mm-hmm. Sitting down in a coffee shop or a bookstore and actually talking to the person and seeing them and going from there. There's a much better connection between the two when they're face-to-face. We can see each other. The other person's like, okay, I know this person. I get a good vibe from this person. I like what's going on. Now I'm feeling better about moving forward. So even if you don't hire me, I always suggest meeting the person in person.
Well, you want to capture their style.
You want to get the sense of their mood and their styles. Exactly right. I did a wedding a couple months ago with this couple that were just the most fun-loving people in the world, and it was just an instant connection, and it was a true joy to work with them to capture their wedding images. So we will do a face-to-face. We will sit down and map out, okay, what kind of images are you looking for? What do you want to get out of these images in terms of mood, expressions, locations, that kind of things, and we make plans, and then we set a date and time. We do the session. I go home. I edit the images. I send them to them. No one else gets to see them except the people. That's, again, that whole privacy thing. They can decide which ones they want further and which can be used publicly or kept off the internet, and we go from there. So again, you're not hiring me as a photographer. You're hiring me as your photographer, and I want to make sure you get what you want to the best of my capabilities, and that's the whole point. And again, it's not about shoehorning someone into a standard shoot. It's about what can we make it about you? How can we make it more about you? That's the whole point, no matter what session we do.
Well, that is awesome. Well, Mark, I am so glad you came out today. I know that you had done the absolutely stunning photos of
Thank you.
Naoma, and
Thank
that's
you.
how this introduction came. So if you would like to talk to Mark, do you have a direct numbers that people can call you?
I prefer this email. Send me an email because the phone number.
You might be on a shoot.
I might be on a shoot. I might be teaching, but an email, I get a notification.
And what is that email?
Well, for the portrait session, it's mknopp1, MKNOPP, the number 1 at cox.net.
Okay.
We're staying with that one for a while. For a boudoir style session, Mark at sensualphotos.markk.com.
And we're also going to have those in the show notes and links in case somebody was listening and they wanted to grab it. We wanted to give the audio, but we will also have a clickable link. So
thank you. I appreciate this.
All right. Well, anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
Make it all about you. Make sure it's all about you and showing you off to the best of my ability. That's the whole point, to make you the star of the session.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.